Advance on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. I'm your co-host for Survive and Advance, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome my co-host. He was a member of the 1981 National Championship team for the Indiana Hoosiers and Bobby Knight, where he combined for 26 points with Isaiah Thomas to beat North Carolina. And he's a member of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. Help me welcome to the show the man with the biggest head we've ever had on this show, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Good morning. It's good morning out here in LA. Just got done with my surfing lessons. So
your surfing lessons.
Yeah, I crashed and burned.
Well, yeah, in your bathtub doesn't count as surfing lessons, Steve.
Oh, you got to start somewhere, Mike. Come on.
All right, Steve. All right, we have a guest today. He is 57 years young, former CFL player. He's going to make a comeback. I believe it's with the Toronto Argonauts in a preseason game. Help us welcome to the show, Darin Burns. How you doing, Darin?
I'm doing well. Thanks, guys, for having me on.
All right. Now, Steve's older than dirt. I'm slightly younger than you, so we're the two young guys here. But kind of give people the background of your story, why you're doing this. And I really want to hear about, Bruce Smith, who was the guy that really helped you out, who you're doing this for. So just give our listeners, viewers, just a little synopsis of everything.
Well, I was raised in group homes in Mississauga, Ontario. And I decided one day I was 14 and decided to go to a football camp. Never played football before. I was always getting into fights and what have you. So it might have been a good outlet to try to go and do something. So I went to the high school that I was at and I borrowed some football gear and went to a camp. So I went to this camp and, did my thing through the day. And at the end of the camp, I had to hitchhike back to my group home. Anyhow, this black Mercedes pulls up to the side of the road and this window comes down and Bruce has this big, deep voice on. He goes, "Hey, boy, what are you doing hitchhiking?" And I was all freaked out because he's like 280 and I was 140 pounds at the time. And I said, "I'm just hitchhiking." And he says, "Well, you're not, shouldn't be hitchhiking. He says, get in the car and I'll drive you." So I recognized him because he was one of the coaches at the camp and he was the captain of the Toronto Argonauts. So he drove me to my group home, which was the opposite direction of him. So he went about 45 minutes out of his way. And the next day he came back to my group home to take me out and go lift weights and started mentoring me. And we became friends from there. I became a ball boy with the Toronto Argonauts at the age of 14/15. And I was a ball boy under Forrest Gregg and Willie Wood, both from Vince Lombardi era. And I was a ball boy with Alonzo Highsmith and Eric Metcalf. Those are the other two ball boys of the Argos. Those two guys had pretty good NFL careers. And I played, bounced around as a pylon in the CFL for a while at training camps and what have you. So from there, I played junior in 1979 for the Etobicoke Argonauts and was a receiver, then the Hamilton Hurricanes as a receiver. And then I was going to quit football and decided to stick in it when I got a Christmas card from the Burlington Braves and said, "You're in the wrong position. We should move you over to here," blah, blah, blah. So I ended up going to play for the Burlington Braves and Coach Trimble there put me at defensive line where 2 years there, I set the national record for sacks in a game, sacks in the season, and career sacks in only 2 years of playing defensive line. 37 years later, I'm still ranked number 3 in the country, and the guys ahead of me played 5 seasons at that position. So I had a pretty good junior time. From there, I went to the CFL, the Ticats, as a junior affiliate from the Burlington Braves, because in Canada, junior football it's a little different in the States. I don't know how to describe it. It would be like kids that are from 18 to 22. I played at 15, but at 18 to 22 years of age. And it's for kids that don't really get a chance to go to university, don't have the money to or what have you. And with me being a street kid and not having any parents, it was the ideal thing to do. So I pursued that angle junior, and I was very persistent in getting my tryout in Hamilton. I used to go and bang on the door at Joe Zuger's office. He's the general manager. I say, give me a shot. And he's like, you're too young. And I kept doing it every day. And I was 19 years old and I banged on the door and I sat in the office and his phone rang and it was a call from an agent. They said, we have this football player from Arkansas, the NCAA shot put champion. And he's an offensive lineman. And so I'm sitting across, I'm a defensive lineman. So he basically put his hand over the phone. He said, "Darin, can you be here at 2:00 this afternoon?" I said, "For what?" He said, "Well, we're going to give you a tryout." I was like, "Hell yeah." So he was saying, "Okay, have your guy here at 2." So basically I was just going to be used as a tackle dummy for this offensive lineman to beat up. So I went into the Ticat locker room. I knew Grover Covington, who's Christian Covington's father, who's with Houston and Dallas and what have you, the nose tackle, and Rod Skillman. And those guys kind of talked me up and coached me up. I had to do 10 one-on-ones with them at 10 o'clock in the afternoon. I beat him. I destroyed him 9 out of the 10 times. The 10th one, we took a draw. So that's how I got my introduction to the CFL, was just being at the right place at the right time and banging on the door and getting my opportunity. So I went to training camp 85 and 86 as a junior. And in 86, my rights got traded to Montreal. I was on the practice roster in Montreal. In 87, I signed back with Montreal. The team folded, and I made the team. Then I went to a semi-pro team and blew my knee out and got a call from Toronto to go back to Toronto, and I could not get back because I'm sitting there with a tore ACL. The following year, I signed in Ottawa and tore my knee out. And so I went back to semi-pro and played in Canadian team, played American Rules, Ottawa Bootleggers out of Ottawa. We were the #1 ranked team in North America against all the Americans. We're all Canadian. We had a good time with that. We lost the championship against Racine, Wisconsin, 15-13 in a blizzard. It was like -40. The snow was coming on a 45. There was 12 inches of snow. It was a complete joke to play the game. But they beat us, and I played in 1990. And then 2009 and 2010, I moved out to Atlantic Canada, and I was fortunate to join with a team called the Moncton Mustangs. And I've been there. I played the 2009, 2010. So here I am next week, going to play for the Moncton Mustangs in 2021. It'll give me 6 consecutive decades. But all this goes back to meeting Bruce. Bruce was the inspiration of my life. He was my father. He died in 2013 of pancreatic cancer. And it was like losing a good portion of my soul went in that grave that day.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons you're doing that, is to honor him. His last 4 seasons, he played for Toronto.
Yeah.
You're going to be wearing his number. And we haven't talked about the things that went on when you were younger. Mm-hmm. And I know that is the thing that Bruce Smith really helped you with. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, but I want to clarify something. Going to Toronto, I still have to perform. I still got to get myself ready with this COVID. We don't know when the season's starting, what's happening. I have people that are supporting me that are involved in the CFL, former players and what have you, that are pushing the direction of where this is going to go. And that's where I want to play, is in Toronto, because that's where it all started for me, meeting Bruce. I know Mike Pinball. He's the general manager. I know a few guys there, and one of my main supporters, Rod Peterson, we're good friends with Mike Murphy. So we're trying to point. It'd be a great story for the CFL. And coming out of COVID, it would be an amazing thing. Plus, it would make me the oldest professional athlete in the world playing a team contact sport. So, who knew a Canadian would set some records in football?
Well, once you do that, we're going to have Risley try to play a contact sport. We're going to get his ass in shape and see if he can top it.
Yeah.
Risley is retired.
Since 1981.
Exactly.
I've retired 3 times. It doesn't stop.
I got a phone call. I got a phone call from the Dallas Cowboys asking if I'd be interested to come down and try out for tight end. Knight and Gil Brandt were good friends,
mm-hmm.
and I politely declined that opportunity. I wish I'd done it now, but I said no thanks.
Dallas Cowboys. Chris Schultz, a buddy of mine, he just passed away. Actually, he's Canadian. He played offensive line for Dallas. Went to Arizona. He was up here doing the TSN CFL broadcast and stuff. So he would be 61. So it'd be around the same time as you.
So what? Okay, so you're 57. I'm 62.
Mm-hmm.
I know when I go out and walk my dogs, I needed kind of like a few hours recovery time. From walking 4 miles
mm-hmm.
or chasing them with a tennis ball, something like that. What's your preparation like to get ready to play and to do this? I mean, and at 57, are you able to bounce right back and go hard at it the next day, or do you got to slow your pace down a little bit?
Well, I've been took a 15-month charge at this, where I had a 47 waist. I was 325, and I look like a pear basically. And now I look like I took the pear and turned it upside down. I got a 35 waist, a 60-inch chest. The thing is, and I ran a 5.2 40 laser. The thing that you got to do is it's just baby steps, and have monthly goals and kind of chip away at things as you go to it. I practiced last night full contact, and I was sore as hell this morning pushing around those kids, but I was still at the gym at 6 a.m. still lifting. I wasn't lifting like I normally would, but I was more lifting to like, oh, Jesus, what the hell did I do last night? But you have to stay disciplined. The biggest thing about getting older is being consistent in what time you eat. Don't eat late at night, because that's where you pack it on. Just watch the sugar intake, because sugar is really bad. I fought a prostate issue where I had prostate cancer, and through drinking alkaline water and knocking sugar out and eating a good diet, I've actually reversed the process of it. So I've had COVID, prostate cancer, everything else you can think of thrown at me in 15 months. And I don't let anything get in my way. You know, you have to have that heart. So it's like, well, you're an athlete. You knew that when you played basketball back in the day, you have to start thinking like you were back in 1981, and push your body to that limit. You know, what stops us from doing anything is between the years. We can do anything that we want to do. You know, age is not a number. You know, they say age is when you're wrinkling. Well, old people, the reason why people get wrinkles is because they're not hydrated. They don't drink enough water. They don't do enough of this, and they don't do enough of that. You can do anything that you want as long as you want it bad enough. That's one thing that I've lived by my entire life.
No, that's the best thing in the world. We lost Goodpaster.
Yeah.
You can't hear him talk. I mean, that makes for a great show.
Yeah, there's sign language going on. You know.
Yeah, I know. Mike, we can't hear you if you can hear us. We still can't hear you.
Yeah.
The thing I found is that I've told people is it's really the pain. The pain doesn't hurt. It's, you know, if you're like an athlete, like, you know, and I haven't done what you've done, but I know when I was playing and doing things extensively, pain really doesn't hurt you. It's just the ability to step up and do it again so quickly.
Yeah.
And it's the stiffness that you get in your body that slows you down and things like that, that don't let you.
Can you hear me, Steve?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, we hear you now. Yeah.
So no, I've getting back to Goodpaster's question there earlier, is, you know, like, I was in foster care. My parents basically split up when I was 4.5 years of age. Both parents, they both left my brother and I alone in an apartment for a good week. And then there was a knock on the door, and social services came in with my grandmother and the police, and shitty diapers everywhere. My brother was 1.5 years old, and I was in the kitchen baking an angel food cake. And I always remember this because when they came in, I was pissing around with that Lucky Whip, the thing you have to take off the top, you have to whip it up, and I couldn't whip it up. I didn't know what I was doing, so I put adding milk, and I just poured all over the. It stays in my head as a vivid memory of that day. Some of the stupid things you remember. So anyhow, I went with my grandmother for a bit, came back and stayed with my father. My father had hired some male babysitters to look after my brother and I, and I became a pincushion to these babysitters from the age of 4 and 5, and it's something that I never really discussed, because, you know, you're supposed to be this big macho football player, and these kind of things don't happen, and it wasn't accepted. And all I know that through that time, and then again at Salvation Army Children's Village when I was 9, because then after I went into foster care and all that kind of stuff, it happened again. And it's something that has been eating at my core. When Bruce was gone, I lost that. Between that and that's when the depression came in, and that's when I started to lose my body that I had. Now I just let it all go. You know, my marriage wasn't going that well. Everything kind of was just dumping on me at the same time. And I had a trainer that was working with me, and we started talking about things, and she ended up cracking the nut. And when that happened, I was able to get it all out. And it was probably the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life, is to have that. Other than my kids, that was the best thing that ever happened, just to get it out and talk about it. Because the biggest thing that we do is we keep everything bottled inside, and we destroy ourselves. And then when we go out and procreate and have kids and grandkids, they're going to carry all that collateral damage with them their entire lives, because we're not fixed. So she made a point, says it wasn't my fault. You know, you were just a kid. But I took it as my fault. I took it as this, and I just couldn't deal with it. Now I'm dealing with it. So I figure that this is something that Bruce would want me to talk about and do. So
yeah, and I think that is the biggest issue with people that have those issues. As we were talking off air, you said probably 30% of the general population does. Mm-hmm. And if it's not that, somebody has something that happened in their life that they won't talk about, because a lot of times when something really traumatic happens to you, no matter what it is, it's really hard to process in your own mind that it's not your fault.
Yeah.
Because
I was beaten. I had the crap kicked out of me constantly from my father. Like, when I'm talking crap, I mean, you know, the fist in the head, thrown to the ceiling at 5 years of age, crack your head on the ground. He was a pretty nasty prick, to be honest with you. But, I've learned how to deal with that by being a good father, by trying to, I don't hit my kids. I don't, I love them. I support them. I'll do anything for them. That's something that I never had. And I know that when I got an award for football or award for this, you look out and you want to see your parents. Well, I didn't have that. I just have my teammates, and that's my family. It's been my teammates my whole life.
Yeah, no, I know. I know what you're talking about. To a pretty personal thing. We, my wife and I, adopted an abused 13-year-old, and she'd been sexually abused in a foster home very badly, to the point we never could crack her. Yeah. She was so abused that she just thought that was how life was.
Yep, I get it.
And we could not get her. We would leave her at home alone at 14 or 15, and she would immediately start hoarding boys into the house and start having sex with them. Mm-hmm. But that's all she knew.
Yeah,
that was just her life. So, and we dealt with that until she finally just left us. Because we were so strict on her. Mm-hmm. She finally just went away with a boyfriend, and we stay in touch with her now. But we were never able to crack her, and you're lucky you found somebody that was able to crack you and get it out. Because once you let it out, once we thought we could get her to get it out of her system, we could normalize her, but there was no chance of getting it out. So you're very fortunate in that sense that somebody was able to.
It's destroyed two relationships in my life and all that kind of stuff. But it's, I know that, getting this opportunity, and God's blessing me the opportunity of physically being able to perform and play ball again. And Bruce always said, being an athlete is a privilege, and we're here to represent. We're given a platform, and, more athletes should learn that and do things with it. And I've chose to take this opportunity, which, I've been talked in about 60 countries and numerous shows and stuff like that. So I'm getting the message. Like I told you, I had a gentleman, 72 years of age from the Barbados, that saw me on TV, and he hadn't talked about it. And he opened up to me about it, and it was very emotional, but he needed it.
Yeah. Now, and Mike, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm very fascinated by this story. So I'm ready. No, you go ahead, Mike. Ask a question. I'll let you ask one.
I would need to, thank you, Steve. But I'm the one that has the control to mute you. So, but I think that's the thing that's great about it when you talk about that. So you're indirectly having an effect similar to what Bruce Smith had on you.
Yeah. Well, Bruce grew up in the 50s with segregation and stuff. And let's put it this way: being a black guy living in Texas in the 50s, I don't think that would be one of those ideal places that you'd want to live. And, Bruce and I talked about, we hear about the Black Lives Matter, we dealt with this. Being bullied and being what happened to me in my life is a form of racism. Bullying and racism they're cousins of each other. The only difference is that, if you're black or you're gay or what have you, you live with that your entire life. I was bullied and beaten up really bad. But as soon as I was able to get to 14, 15, and suddenly I became 200 pounds, 250, no one screws with me now at 6'5", 300 pounds. I'll rip your effing head off. So I grew out of the racist part of it because no one wants to mess with you. People are racist because they're ignorant and they're insecure of themselves. Okay, that's one of the biggest things about it. I believe that when you peel the skin, we all bleed red. We should all be treated the same. So I get what's going on in the States with racial tensions and stuff, because I've been there in the sense of being bullied, not to the extreme that I got to live with it the rest of my life and go through all that. But, I've had a taste of it, and it doesn't taste good. So I'm hoping that the message that I'm delivering, being bullied, being raped, also getting up off your fat ass and getting under the gym and working out and extending your life.
He's talking to you, Steve.
My pool is now open. I am swimming. My bike I just got my bike back from the shop. I just spent $150 tuning it up, ready to go, and we're heading to the beach, and the dogs are going to run the beach, and I'm going to chase them.
Well, I'm just like I said, I'm just fortunately blessed to get this opportunity again to do something, and this time I'm going to do it right. I'm gonna.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question. Are you're not taking this journey alone, are you? I mean, are you that disciplined that you can be 57 and get yourself back in shape like you are? Are you doing this just on yourself, or do you have support with you helping you get ready for this?
I have my trainers and stuff, but yeah, at home I'm doing it basically on my own. The difference between being a good college player and a good pro player is you got to do it alone. If you can't do it alone, you're not going to be a pro player, because being a pro player is actually, we put on a facade with this and that. It's one of the loneliest, hardest things you'll ever do in your life. You got to just be so strict and so disciplined to achieve that greatness. Like some people sure are freaks of nature. They can slide through and go out and drink all night and do this and do that. So what I've done is I just remembered what I did when I was younger and what I wish I would have done when I was younger. And I'm just sticking to it. I'm probably one of the most disciplined guys you're going to meet when it comes to this. When I set a goal, nothing gets in my way. I'll crush anything that gets in front of me to achieve the goal in front of me. So, and you've got to be like that. If you want to be successful, you want to be good, you want to do all the stuff, it comes from drive and determination. And that's one thing that everyone that knows me will agree on that one. Even ex-wives and stuff like that. But I'm happy. I feel great. I feel like I can't say 20, but I feel like I'm 30 something years old. Actually, a funny story. I got my COVID shot, and I think everyone should get that. I had COVID in January, and then I got my COVID shot, and I had a mask on. I was in a tank top, I had shorts and stuff like that. And I was on the phone talking to somebody, and I was in line to get the shot, and it was for 55 and up. And this lady walked up to me and said, she's a nurse, and she goes, "Sir, this is for people 55 and older." So I was like, and I could hear the person on the other going, "Oh shit, no." I said, "Oh, I thought it was for 35. Played it up right that. So I ended up having to prove that I was 57 years of age. And then afterwards, she's like, "Oh my God, you got one hell of a body. You look amazing," and stuff like that. So for me, that felt good. So I feel like I'm in my 30s, and it was confirmed by a nurse. So it has to be right.
Yeah, I've got both my COVID shots. Mike, how you doing on yours?
I ain't getting no shot.
I
don't think
that's a whole other show, Darin.
We won't discuss shots or guns with him. Is that it?
Yeah. Don't discuss guns and shots with him.
Anything with a shot, we're not going to get
all my doctors are holistic. I had the same problem with my prostate. I actually had an enlarged prostate when I was 25. Mm-hmm. Had it for like 20, 22 years. Started coaching the team where one of the dads was a holistic doctor. He gave me these natural, I think it was called prostate PMG, changed my diet, all of that. The prostate issue was cleared up in a month.
You got it, boss.
The thing is this, with my immune system, I'm not going to worry about it. If God takes me, God takes me. I don't go out hanging out with a bunch of people because Steve will tell you, in general, I don't like to be around people. They piss me off. So I'm not going to give anybody COVID. Because when I go to the store, it's 10:30 at night. I'm not the only person in there anyways.
Yeah.
But and I have a younger son who, 4th grade shots, came home, started puking, had a temperature of 104, never been the same since. So I don't trust it. I don't trust my government, and I don't care if it's Donald Trump or Joe Biden. I just don't trust government. Yeah. Because I've been alive long enough to know that they're there to line their own pockets. Everybody in Congress and the Senate are millionaires. And my concern about the test is most of these vaccines, it takes decades to get through. They don't know if there's any long-term side effects. So I'm just going to go ahead and take my chances. I'm not going to make anybody else sick because, like I said, Steve will tell you, nobody likes me, so I just stay at home.
I like Mike.
My COVID thing was I had a temperature of like 99, 100 degrees, a little body ache for a few days. That was it. But meanwhile, everybody else around me was shitting and puking and all that kind of fun stuff.
The other thing that gets me is this. The doctor that I'm with now, who's kind of a mixture between the whole, they've got something called ivermectin, which I started reading studies on like 6 or 7 months ago. I bring it up to, he started giving patients that over the last couple months. Nobody's had anything worse than fatigue with it. So I think there are repurposed drugs that could have been used to take care of this also. And let's face it, I mean, 65, 70% of the people who died in this country have been people in nursing homes, which a lot of our politicians have forced back into those nursing homes.
Well, my philosophy on that is like, use the analogy of, you're in a plane, it drops down, it drops the oxygen mask down. And they say, always put your mask on first before you put on the others. Well, we should be taking that same philosophy with the seniors. You got the seniors, they're already locked up in a home. We should be taking care of our support workers that take care of them, that go in, the emergency staff, the doctors, the ambulance.
That was my wife. Yeah,
you get them going that. You let the rest of us circulate around, give us our damn shots. The money in Canada, we've got a CERB program. So every 2 weeks, you get $900 given to you from the government. And it's been going on for over a year and a bit now. If they would have bought an iPad and gave it to all the seniors and left them in there and said, listen, this is the closest you can get to your relatives until we get under control. The economy working, we'd be getting this, we get more herd immunity. When I had the COVID, I was fine. So as long as you're healthy and stuff, they talk about it being a racial, black or Spanish or Hispanic sort of thing. It's not that. It's that, then you're getting into economics of people. Like you get people that are overweight. You get people that don't have enough money, so they got to go to your McDonald's or your Burger Kings to eat, or they got to buy food and fry it. And so not eating the healthier food that you are. So you're putting all these fats in your body, and the COVID lives off of that. So it's not an ethnic thing. It's more, and that goes to show you about the poverty levels with the blacks and Hispanics, how badly they've been treated versus the white class and stuff like that. There's still that class division, and it's all about your money and stuff. So I think that we need to address health, nutrition, things like that, and then we wouldn't need the vaccines and stuff like that. But I mean, everything's on saturated fats, the crap that we're putting in our bodies.
The thing is this: they should outlaw sugar. I mean, sugar is more dangerous than COVID.
That's exactly it. I eliminate, like, I used to drink coffee, 3 cream and 3 sugar. Now I'm having it with just 1 cream and no sugar. Like, I've gotten away from sugar, and that's because of my prostate scare that I went through. But it was the best thing of happening to me. Like, you were asking me about how connection with Bruce was. Well, I went to the gym 16 months ago to work out, and I went in. I had that picture taken that you saw on my Facebook page where I've got the fat 47 waist and what have you. I looked at that 2 weeks later, and I looked at the date, and it was the 7th anniversary of his death. So it was like him upstairs sending a little message down saying, get your fat ass to the gym because something's not right in your body. And that's how I discovered it. Otherwise, I could have been like Bruce, could have masticated through my body and end up being dead. He had pancreatic cancer, and he was gone in 17 days. It was a heart attack that he had, and he called me up and told me, like, good news and bad news. And he said, I had a heart attack. I'm thinking, okay, if that's the bad news, what's the good news? He goes, no, that's the good news. The bad news is I got less than 60 days to live. I got pancreatic cancer. So, I was given a shot where I could catch it real early, deal with it, and go on from there. So again, like I said, this football has saved my life in so many different crazy ways in my thing. So I always look at the positive side of stuff.
Yeah, mine was this. 2 years ago in January, is after both my sons played in the high school All-American game. I come home one night. I'm 6 foot. I weighed like 295 pounds, and had to walk up a hill to get to their practice. Had a hell of a time doing that. I'm standing there looking at myself in the mirror, and I'm thinking, I'm 50 years old. It's in the shape I'm in now. I'm not going to live more than 5 or 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So ever since then, I went back, no sugar. Hell, I even went vegan for 6 months just to get rid of the weight quickly. I wouldn't recommend that. There's no meat in vegan diet, Steve. Did you know that? Nobody told me that when they told me how to try it. But, I mean, it gets to the point when you get to be 50 years old or 62 years old in California where you need to start taking care of yourself, Steve.
Yep. Yeah, no, and
you say I don't take care of myself. That's horseshit. I went to a nutritionist. I went to a nutritionist and a doctor last week, and they both told me the same thing: portion control and moderation.
Mm-hmm.
Do whatever you want to do. Just do it with portion control. Like I go to In-N-Out Burger. I go to In-N-Out Burger right here, and I get 4 burgers. Double doubles. Now I just get 1 double double.
Mm-hmm. Well, the smaller meals, eat 4 of them. Don't eat after 7 o'clock at night. I stop eating at 7, and
we can't do that. Jeopardy comes on at 7:30.
You have to. You go through the night. I go to the gym early. I do my lift. Then I eat my breakfast. So I go like 12, 13 hours without putting anything in the tank. But I used to have one big lump. It was called a gut. Now I got a 6-pack at 300. So you know, like it's what you want, like how bad you want something, and that's what you got to stay disciplined and focused on. And yeah, I'm like I plan to play
You
football
know,
for 2 more
that's
years.
a good thing about being 6'8". You can hide a lot of shit on a 6'8" body.
There's a lot of shit on Steve's 6'8" body.
Yeah, you can hide a lot of shit. It's
Yeah.
on a 6'8" frame.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm enjoying this, and you know, I plan to play till I'm about 60, and then I'm going to fold it in.
Well, okay, so a couple questions for you, Mike. You got anything else? Are you done?
Go ahead, Steve. Ask your question.
You can go fix your mic.
Is it working now?
You sound like you're in a tunnel, but that's all right.
All right. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
You still have a beautiful voice.
Thank you, Steve.
Out of doing all this, 2 questions for you to ponder, and Mike, jump in at any time. Where do you see yourself ending up with this? I mean, where do you realistically think your path will have you end up? And 2, most importantly, what do you want your overall message to be about taking this challenge on at 57 years old?
Well, I've got a book that's being written on my life. I'm going to go out and do talks to places that I'd be invited to discuss about abuse and get a dialogue going. I think it's important. If like Bruce always said, you know, if you can impact one life, you've done something right in your life. Well, I'm going to try to impact a little bit more than one and get this dialogue going, so that I just think that, you know, if you go to a psychiatrist or psychologist or what have you, they're a 30-year-old kid that's come out of school and they got their books, but if they haven't had something shoved up their ass, they have no idea what it's about to talk about, right? So you need to be able to talk to people that have gone through sexual, physical abuse that we all can relate to. And then once you've talked about it and you pop it open, then you can go to see those people and try to straighten it up. But it's a very important part, I think, in our community. You know, we talk about suicides and depression and all that kind of stuff. If we were to go back in their lives to find out exactly what screwed them up, I'll guarantee you there'd be a high percentage that have had shit happen to them. So if you want to prevent suicide, you want to prevent this stuff or depression, we need to go back to when they're 4, 5, and 6 years of age and find out, or 10 or 12 or what have you. You know, whether it's bullying, whether it's been sexual abuse, whether it's having the crap kicked out of you, having things that are broken down. But the biggest thing about it is having a dialogue and talking about it. As far as my football, I mean, I would love the opportunity to go and get a shot in the CFL in Toronto, because that's where it started for me as a ball boy, and that's where Bruce retired. And I'd love to put on a 61 and play that position and go out there in a preseason game, because I can't play a regular season game. I'll get the shit kicked out of me after 80 plays and stuff like that, that level. But I know I've got a good 20 plays in my body that I could go out there and put some hurt on and maybe get out of quarterback. And it'd be a great story for the CFL, and would give me even a bigger platform to deliver this message. So if Randy, the commissioner, and Pinball can find a way and work that out, I'd love the opportunity, but I'm just going to wait and see. The only thing I can control right now is next week I play my first game in 10 years at 57 years of age. Sets up football history for 6 decades. If I can't ball out, then, you know, none of this makes any sense going forward, but I know I can, so I'm not too worried about that. Get the opportunity. Next year, I want to return back to the Moncton Mustangs, and then I've been offered to head up the Team Canada men's senior football program, playing the World Championships. That's when I come after you guys.
Have you thought about getting into coaching? I mean,
No,
your knowledge base is so strong, and you seem at 57 years of knowledge of the game,
Mm-hmm.
and then the way you eloquently speak about things seems to me. And you know, Mike is a great coach, and he is a great coach.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he does a great job. And what did you play? 1 month of college basketball at Indiana State?
I got hurt, Steve. It wasn't my damn fault.
Well, I'll tell you my coaching experience, and this is where, and then when you hear the story behind it, you'll go, okay, maybe he doesn't want to coach. I was coaching up here in Riverview. I was coaching at a high school, and you know, the coaches volunteer. They go out and they do their thing. Anyhow, we went through the season. What I did is I talked to the kids about my life. I talked to them not about the abuse, but talk about being homeless and this and that. Let's raise some food for a food bank. Let's do some positive things with our platform that we're given, playing high school football in our community. So I'd have the kids over for barbecues on before the games. We would go out and do all kinds of things. We raised over 14 tons of food for a food bank when they were running out of food. We did all kinds of amazing things. We had the kids go out and paint the goalposts, paint the bleachers, take pride in their home stadiums and all that stuff. So at the end of the season, we lost in the semifinals. And then, there was a lynch mob meeting with the parents, and they were giving it to the coaches. You see the teachers, because they couldn't say anything, because they were sitting on their hands and biting their tongues. And the parents, we expect championship football. We expect this. We expect that. And I was just listening to it. And finally, I just couldn't take any more of this shit. So I just looked at them and I said, listen, I was one of the coaches. And I said, our job is to teach the kids about life and make them better young men for their community. And the parents were like listening to it. And then they started getting a little lippy about that. And I said, we did the best that we could do. Who won the championship in 2007? Who won the championship in 2000? Nobody can answer the question. But I said, do you want to have championship football? And parents, yes, we expect that. So I said, do me a favor. I don't know if I'll swear, but I said, do me a favor. Go home and fucking bring us better athletes, because we did the best we could do with what you delivered us. You could have heard a pin drop in the room. The teachers all had their thumbs up without being recognized that they did it. And they go, thank you, Darin, for saying something that we wish we could all said. It was pretty pathetic. So I know I won't coach. I don't like parents. I think if parents could be just left in the stands and left it there, then yes, it's a different thing. But no, I'd end up killing some parents. I don't like parents.
Mike, this is your area of expertise. You get into this.
This is the thing. I coach actually a Christian homeschool football team. Mm-hmm. And there's 400 or 500 schools like that.
Christian homeschool football for Mike. Yeah. Imagine that picture.
What's that?
Christian homeschool?
Okay. Christian homeschool for Mike Goodpaster.
School kids, but this is the thing. My son was a really good quarterback. When he got to 9th grade, he comes home from his first day of practice, and I said, and he looked upset. I said, what's wrong? He said, well, this was basically 2 hours. For lack of a better term, these coaches screaming and calling everybody MFers, people getting in fights and them letting it go. It is basically, I think, for the most part, high school football coaches, there's a lot of them out there that get their self-worth from whether their team wins or loses. And I think even worse is you've got all these parents that are living through their kids because they weren't worth a shit anyways. So what I did is I went someplace where everybody plays for a higher power. Mm-hmm. And instead of playing for a community, and I am happy there. And I get these offers all the time, come coach my arena football team. I'll pay you this much money, or come coach this big high school football team and I'll pay you this much money. I'm 52 years old. I'm tired of shit. Mm-hmm. I mean, just total bullshit. I mean, people are just out for themselves. They're worried about whether we win or lose. And all I can tell you is this. If you go out and you try basically to just win all the games, and that's the only thing you're trying to do, your life has been shit.
Yep.
I mean, if you come out there, it's just like I had somebody that I've got a kid that plays for me that's a good linebacker. Somebody wanted him. They said, tell him, how good is he? I said, I'll tell you in 20 years.
Yeah.
Because that's the point. I mean, the point is, I want the kids on my team to, when they grow up, know that they're supposed to take care and nurture their wife. They're supposed to take care of their kids. They're not supposed to beat the hell out of them. They're not supposed to go hang out in bars. They're supposed to do what they're supposed to do, which means you take responsibility for everything in your life. Mm-hmm. Everybody nowadays, especially under 40, and I hate to sound old, I'm sure that Sam Teets will get us. He's our NFL beat writer, because anytime I say something like this, but under the age of 40, everybody is taught anymore that everything is somebody else's fault.
Yep.
Where people don't learn, if you want your life to succeed, you got to realize 99% of everything in your life that ever went wrong is on you.
Yep.
I mean, I think the best thing that can be said is this, and my parents used to tell me this. I found myself telling my kids that, is you are what you hang out with. Mm-hmm. You are what you allow to happen to you in life. Yep. And I mean, you've got to step up, and you've got to be a man, or you got to be a woman, and you got to take care of your shit. You've got to own what your responsibility is. That's what you're supposed to teach kids. And I'll tell you this, I mean, my teams have won a lot of football games, but the reason is because if you walk up to me and give me an excuse, I'm going to sit your ass on the bench.
Yep.
I don't want to see you got beat. I don't care. It happens.
Mhm.
Nobody's perfect. Just figure out what went wrong.
Yep.
And then fix it. You know, that's where the first 10 years I ever coached football, the back of the T-shirt that we gave all the kids was, I don't care, just fix it.
Yep.
You know, it doesn't matter. Bad things happen. Bad things happen. If you're the greatest person, you live the most perfect life, bad things are still going to happen to you. What defines you as a man, and that's why I wanted to have you on the show. It wasn't even so much about playing CFL football. It's the fact that what defines a man is what he does when things go horribly wrong. And I respect the hell out of guys like you because there seems like there's fewer and fewer out there today.
Well, thank you.
I agree.
I've talked to my son. My son Taylor, he's an offensive lineman. I don't know where I went wrong as a father breeding an offensive lineman when I'm a defensive lineman, but he went. I've had the privilege of getting to know the United States high schools. My son was offered to go, and he played at Episcopal High School in Alexandria, Virginia, which is one of your Senator John McCain's old stomping ground. He went to high school there and what have you, and they've got a very good football program there. My son went down there and he made first team All-State Virginia and all that kind of stuff, first Canadian to do that. So it was kind of cool for him to go down there and claim his little territory. But he was getting all stressed out about scholarships and stuff like that because he says, oh, this guy's got 60 scholarships, this guy's got this guy's got that. And I always tell my son a little story. When I was in grade 1, I used to be bullied. I had a bowl cut. My pants were up halfway at my calves. You know, when's Noah coming? You know, the flood and all that kind of stuff. And I got, you know, thrown in boxes and spit on and pissed on and all kinds of fun things that could happen to a kid when at that age. Anyhow, fast forward, I was playing for the Ticats. I was on the junior team. I was out with the bar with Rod Skillman, and we were over at a bar called the Library. This guy walks up to me and says, "Excuse me, are you Darin Burns?" And I said, yes. And I got these gorgeous women around me and stuff, and my sports cars parked outside. Life is good, right? And the Corvette. And he goes up and goes, "Oh, we went to school together." And I looked at him and said, "Really?" I said, "Well, where did we go?" "Mississauga." I'm like, "Oh, now I'm interested because that's where the shit happened." He goes, "We went, my name's Jimmy Latimer." Well, Jimmy Latimer was the guy that was the instigator that used to piss in the hole in the box on me and all that stuff. His dad worked at Mattel Toys, so he was the cool guy in school because he had all the new toys. So everyone wanted to hang around with him because he was in grade 1. So anyhow, I said, "Hold on a second." I called Rod and my other buddy. I said, "Come here for a second." He said, "Remember that guy I told you in school that used to do this?" So we're all looking down at him. Have you ever seen George from Seinfeld? Yeah. That's what he turned into. So, and he was 30 at the time. So it was a beautiful, like, so getting back to my story is that you have different times in your life. Do you want to be a hero in kindergarten, grade 1, middle school, high school as an adult? And I always tell my son, it just takes one scholarship offer, so don't worry about what you got and just focus on being the best you can be because your journey doesn't end until you're an adult. And then it continues on from there. So you've got to focus in on the best you can be at that particular moment. Don't be worried about everything else and just keep building on it so that when you become an adult and you've got your education, your football career is over with, you've got something else to fall back on. Because at the end of the day, all we are is damn football players. We can run around, catch a ball, knock somebody out, all that kind of stuff. Great. We don't save lives. We don't do any of the other stuff. So we got to get some perspective here on what's going on. So that's I agree with you on, maturing and being that when you're at that 40 years of age and being an upstanding citizen in your community and being a great parent and being a great husband. Being a great husband, I never was because I just never knew how to do it. Parenting, I've done the best I can with the knowledge that I've had. I try to avoid doing the things that hurt me and try to do the things that benefit my kids, and that's the only guidelines I have right now. So I agree with you on what you said there. So I agree with it.
All right, Steve. Anything else before we wrap it up?
Well, I'm looking over my notes. Let me see if I got anything else I didn't get asked that I wanted to. Sorry, Mike, I kind of dominant this, but this guy's like a hero to me. I mean, I'm going to the gym. I'm going to go join Gold's Gym.
No, you're not, Steve.
Hey, it's 62. You can join gyms for free.
Yeah, or you get senior discount. I actually like
discount.
breakfast.
Yeah.
I go for breakfast every morning at a restaurant. People say, "Why don't you go home and eat?" I said, "No, because I get the over 55 breakfast now. It's great."
No, I'm gonna tell you what.
I'm only 3 years away from that, then, right?
If you don't get an AARP card, you are an idiot.
I don't
There's
have one
all kinds of great things on that AARP
You know what I'm getting
card.
tired of? I keep getting these calls from these people wanting to sell me a Metal Alert bracelet. I cuss them out and then I hang up.
But I'm looking forward to my next 2 years of football. Like you said, I'm going to play here, see what happens in the CFL, see what goes on.
Well, when you play next week?
I play on Saturday at you guys are 2 hours behind me, so you're 4 hours behind me. So 1:30
so you're
your
playing
time,
this
3:30
Saturday.
Cincinnati time. Week Saturday, I am going to be the first person ever playing 6 consecutive decades.
Is there a way to see the game?
Well, Mike, we've got to get.
Do we have a live stream of the game? So
yes, it's going to be a live stream. It'll be on my Facebook. I'll send it off to you on Messenger. But anyone wants to go,
we'll post
my name on the screen. You can click on there and watch it. Go watch an old man go. I'm going to really enjoy that. Going to finish the season. I'm going to play next year because I'm going to stay in shape. And my next focus is to try to take Team Canada men's senior football to the gold medal game against USA and win. So if it's not in Australia, which is supposed to be in 2023, if not, we're going to take a bid for it for Canada. So we get it. I'm either going to be in Moncton, Hamilton, or Regina. I'm hoping it's Hamilton because when we do beat you guys, it's just a short drive back to the States for you.
Hey, you're not playing us, Darin. Just so you know, you will be playing somebody that represents the United States.
Yeah. Well, they're going to have USA on, and that's all that matters. That I got to start trash talking now because I got to get fired up. I have to have something to keep. It's like that carrot in front of the donkey. Yes, you can call me a jackass. I like that carrot in front of me to go, and that's to beat Team USA in the World Championships in Canada. That would be the ultimate way to walk away from a football career.
I'll be cheering for Canada. I actually love the CFL. I do a weekly show with Robert Drummond. You've probably heard of Robert.
Yep.
I think he played in 4 or 5 Grey Cups.
Yeah, Robert running back.
I've always been a huge fan of the CFL. Me and Steve and I, to use proper English, had Trevor Harris on, was that 2 years ago?
Yep. Yeah, quarterback Trevor.
Yeah, because I had to explain to Steve what the CFL was back then.
I know what the CFL.
You got
bigger,
the CFL
bigger end zones.
Yeah, it's wider field. It's a longer field. Bigger end zone.
3 downs.
Well,
you get 3 downs.
But the thing is, you got to move that ball down the field, and it's exciting for the fans to watch it. Like NFL, I like it because it's to get in as a defensive lineman, it's great. But the CFL, if you look at it, I've seen teams down by 17 points with 2 minutes left, and they've won the game.
Yeah.
In the NFL, if you got control of the ball, you just need 1 first down last 2 minutes, and you run the clock out. You basically may as well say 2-minute warning, game's over. Like the CFL, it ain't over till it's over. We used to have a promotion too. It was pretty brash against the Americans because our football is bigger. So we used to have advertised our balls are bigger.
That was in the 90s, wasn't it?
That was in the 90s. Yeah, our balls are bigger. But I think they've come the same size now. Either you grew them up a little bit bigger down there or we shrunk them down. I don't know what it is.
Well, we had to get that all approved by Tom Brady. He approved the size of the footballs in the NFL.
Come on, Risley, let go of that championship game. Risley's a Colts fan, so he hates Tom Brady.
I am a dyed-in-the-wool Colts fan.
I'm just looking forward to the next challenges to try to get that. I've been dealing with Jim Mullins, the president of Football Canada, and we're putting together a plan to either attend Australia or host here, which I hope it's hosting here because it's going to be a lot easier for everyone to go. Mind you, going to Australia for 3 weeks wouldn't be that bad of a gig either. They've got good beer down there. But I'd like it to be in Canada here. I think it'd be great for our countries to have that little bit of rivalry. I could just see Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton just sold out, USA-Canada game. It'd be an awesome experience for everybody. And it'd be great for the game. And that's what football's the greatest game. I owe everything to the sport of football. It saved my life numerous times. It's given me direction. I've got a son that probably will end up in the NFL playing as an offensive lineman. He's that good. He's got Rookie of the Year and all that kind of stuff. So he's well on his way. So for me, I owe everything to the sport, and I owe everything to Bruce.
All right. We would love for you to come back periodically.
Yeah, after your game. I want you to come back on after your game.
Well, do you want me to do that on Sunday, or on Monday while I'm sitting in an ice tub?
I'll
do it from an ice tub. I'll fill it with ice, and I'll sit in the damn thing.
All right, we'll do it from the ice tub on Sunday or Monday.
Because I'm game. I'm in on that.
I know that I can hit hard. The question is that I don't know how my body's going to feel 24, 48 hours afterwards. So that impact. The only thing I'm worried about is more impact. I've been hitting and doing so. I'm not getting I've had a calf strain, stuff like that, but I'll be really curious to see how the shoulders and the wrists and the elbows. From crunching guys to the ground and getting the impact and then coming back down. But
have you got your knee rebuilt?
My knees are great right now. Knock on wood. I'm weighing 302, and I'm probably around 8% body fat, and 57. So I'm really enjoying it. I've gone from like a 33 to 8% body fat and only lost 10 pounds. So I've put on probably 60 pounds of muscle through this body transformation. And yeah, I mean, my neck is up to 23 inches. My arms are 20, almost 21, they're 20 and a half, 60-inch chest, 35 waist. That's according to my trainer. So I'm not going to argue with her. And she's really pleased with how I've transformed. But again, anybody can do this, man. You just got to want it. You know, it's got to come from here. And if it doesn't come from your heart, you ain't going to get it done. You got to want it bad enough and believe in it. And, you know, at the end of the day, once you get through the first 30 days, it becomes a habit. Now I'm drooling to get into the gym every morning. Like even when it's supposed to be my day off, I go to the gym and ride the bike. It's a great addiction to have.
All right. So you want to go Monday at 1:00, Dan?
Sure, I'll do Monday at 1. Not this Monday, a week Monday.
You play this weekend or the week after?
The weekend after.
Okay,
yeah,
the week after. So
May 10th.
All right,
May 10th. You know, and we may have some highlights.
I'll have to remind Goodpaster 100 times. He'll never remember that far out.
There might be some highlights made because the game's being televised and the links. I might have some highlights you can put up there and stuff like that. But I plan on having a few.
All right, guys, we're gonna
go.
I work too hard to just play mediocre.
Hey,
I got 1,500 hours into this.
Do you have a Twitter page people can follow?
My Twitter. Oh Jesus. Twitter is Darin Burns 4, and my Instagram is DarinJ61.
All right, and Steve Risley.
I'm just learning all this stuff.
DarinJ61. I'll get you on Instagram right now.
And then Steve Risley is at SRisley34. You can follow me at Grueling Truth. I want to thank everybody for listening today to Survive in Advance and viewing it. So for now, for Steve Risley, Darin Burns, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legend